Okay, friends, today I will talk about object-oriented side of VB.NET. VB.NET is pure object-oriented programming language. And I will show you the fundamentals of object-oriented in VB.NET. First of all, let me create a project. This is a Windows Forms application. Okay, now we have a project. It is ready. Form is here. But first of all, I want to design my class. So what I'm doing, I will right click on my project. I will say add. Actually, we have here, it's class. But if you like, you can choose new item. And here we have VB class. It is the same thing. If you like, you can change the name of it. I will keep it as class 1, but we will need that name, okay? So if you give a name here, you should know it. Actually, it will be seen on Solution Explorer window as well. It is here, class1.vb. This is my class. And here is the content of this class. Okay, let me zoom it. Now, the name of my class is class 1. So if you are going to create an object with this class, so you will use this name, okay? And it will recognize it. The compiler recognize it. Let me start with an instance variable. So if we have a class, it's possible to create an instance variable. So let me declare it. I am saying private dim v1 as integer. This is a private instance variable. What I mean with that, I said private here. If you create an object with this class and you want to actually access this instance variable, you directly access it. If you want to directly access it, then you should say public here. So what I mean with that, let me go back to my Windows form. And here, this is just sample. So I will put a button and a text box. Let me put one more text box. This is just a sample. So I will change their fonts. Okay, now for the button, let's say that we want to create class 1. I'm declaring my object, the test object, I'm giving this name test, is here. If it is an object and if you want to use class to create this object, you need to say new. And then the class name. What is my class name? Class 1. Class 1. Okay? Okay. After I create my object and I want to access my instance variable, I'm saying the name of my object test dot. Here you see it's v1. It is seen here because I said that it is public. If you don't want to do it, you can say private here. So this instance variable is valid only in the class. Okay, and when you create an object and you say dot, you cannot see it. It's not accessible directly. Okay, so how we can do that? If we can access directly, what we will do, instance variable. So here, the good way actually, and I like this way, to create get and set accessors. You know, object oriented. So here I'm going to create get and set accessors, and I can use my instance variable with that. So here I'm saying public because I want this get and set accessor access to be accessible from the Windows form, I mean, from the object that I created. Then property, and I am saying here I'm going to, get and set value for V1. Therefore, I am giving this name V1 value. Okay, I am giving this name, and I'm saying as integer. And then I'm going to declare get and set accessor. So when I say get, the rest part comes automatically. What happens in get? In get, here, when I'm in this method, I can access V1 because V1 can be private from outside, but it is accessible in class, okay, like global variable. Therefore, here I can say if get is processed, then return V1. And for the set, I am saying V1 is equal to value. Value is the argument of set. So I will send a parameter here, and that parameter will be used, and the value at there will be assigned to V1. V1 is our instance variable. Okay, let's do it. First of all, I'm saying that test dot, you see we have V1 value. This is my get and set accessor name. So if I say test V1 value is equal to 500, the value of V1 will be 500. If I want to access the value of V1, I can say textbox1 dot text is equal to test dot V1 value. Here, set accessor runs, and here get accessor runs. So what is get? It will return the value of V1, and I will take it and display it in my text box. Let's run it and see if everything works fine. I'm clicking button 1 and 500 is shown here. I can do another thing. After I initialize my V1, and after I initialize V1, I get it. I get it and put it into text box 1. Here, let me change it again. Test dot V1 value is equal to 600. And then I'm saying text box 2 dot text V1 value. When I say this, of course, the last value, the updated value of V1 will be sent to here, and then it will be displayed in text box 2. So let's see it. Text box 1 will show 500 and text box 2 will show 600. So this is how we are using get and set accessors in VB.NET. And of course, how we use instance variable. Okay, another thing is, what about constructor? What about constructor? Here, I will say public because I want this to be accessible from the object. So sub new, I am saying that V1 is equal to 10 multiply 20, or let's say 100. Okay. What happens here? This is a constructor. when I create the object, this constructor will execute. And V1 will be initialized with 0. Oh, sorry, with 100. Okay? Okay, let me go back. When I create my object, test objects V1 will be initialized with 100. And here, without assigning any value to V1, if I want to read value of V1 by using get accessor, it will be 100. Let's see it. I'm clicking button and I can see that it's 100. This is a constructor. Of course, if you like, you can use parameter here. Okay, if you want, you can say p parameter 1 as integer. So what happens here? V1 is equal to P1. So I can assign the initial value for V1. And here I can say, when I'm creating my object, I can say 55. So what happens? When I say 55, that will be assigned to P1 and P1 will be assigned to V1. So my instance variable value will be 55, will be initialized with 55. And when I run get accessor, so I will get 55. Let's run it. Let's click it. As you see, it's 55. Okay, let me show you another thing. In constructor, if you like, you can make this argument as optional. This is optional parameter. So here I will say is equal to 100. What happens now? It's optional parameter. If I say 55 here, then P1 will be 55 and V1 will be initialized with 55. If I do not write anything here, okay, so it is optional parameter. Therefore, if nothing is given, P1 will be 100 and V1 will be 100. Okay, it's possible to do such things. Okay, this is when you say public sub new, this is a constructor. Okay, what about methods? I'm saying methods because it's possible to write subroutine or function in your class. Okay, let me say a few words about how to write a method. Let me write a subroutine here. Let's say that I want to modify my instance variables value. So I am saying public sub calculate, for example. If you like, you can give, here you can write some arguments, but now I will keep it as it is. And here I will say V1 is equal to 100, sorry, V1 is equal to V1 multiply 5. Okay, and I changed the value of instance variable. Okay, we have calculate method for that. I'm going back here and I created my object first. I didn't give any value here, so my V1 will be 100 because for the optional parameter it's 100, so V1 will be initialized with 100. Then I got the value by using get accessor and I display in text box 1. So in the text box 1, it should be 100. Then I am going to execute calculate method. So I will say test dot calculate. Here, calculate method will be executed and V1 will be multiplied with 5. So V1 will be 500. Okay, And after that, I will display the value of V1 in text box 2. Test.V1 value. Let's see. I should see 100 in text box 1 and 500 in text box 2. Okay, I used my method here. Okay, let me show you one more thing. Here, I directly used instance variable because it's a global variable for the class. But if you like, this is sometimes dangerous. So it's better to use get and set accessors. It prevents you to make mistake. Therefore, instead of V1, I am saying V1 value. Sorry, V1. Let me do it this way. V1 value is equal to V1 value multiply 5. So when I say V1 value here, it executes get accessor and gets the value of V1. Puts it here, then multiply it with 5. And then the result will be assigned to V1 value. And here set accessor will be executed. And it will take the result and assign it to V1. So get and set accessor executes in the same statement here. But the result, the result that it is going to produce will be the same. 100 and 500. This is the summary, brief summary of object-oriented in VB.NET.